Hi everyone, Shannon with Apogee the Moon bringing you a weekly forecast for October 17th through October 23rd. So this week I am going to go back to the way I did them in the beginning few weeks without going through specific signs, just because for time's sake there's a lot of aspects going on this week. There's and I don't want to make this a 3-hour video going through each aspect or even picking one aspect, because you can't really pick them out. It's a continuation, but it's also different energies that are coming up. So there's that. But what I'm going to do is share my screen so you can at least see, and then we'll talk about it. We're just going to share that, and I'll do this. So to start the, well, not to start the weekend. So on Sunday, October 18th is the exact last square that the sun is going to make to the stellium in Capricorn. And this is just a couple of days after the new moon. Then we also have Venus opposing Neptune. So on this day specifically, there could be, I mean, the sun is where our energy is, right? It's where our energy goes. The sun is the life-giving planet, or the life-giving planet, the luminary, the life-giving, entity for our solar system. And it's in a square with a very restrictive, oppressive planet, which is Saturn. And this, to me, especially coming exact just after the new moon and being that its final aspect is to Saturn before it moves out of Libra. This is try, fail, try again kind of energy in terms of needing to get things right, needing to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, because Saturn is the taskmaster. This can see disappointments, even self-deprecation. And the sun is where we want to shine. The sun is where, when the sun is transiting, through the different houses and everything, this is where we want to light something up. This is where we want to focus our energy, right? Because the sun is really it can relate back to the solar plexus and heart chakras, where this is our energy and where we need to follow our joy. But Saturn limits, and Saturn restricts, and Saturn delays and frustrates. So if you're trying to move too quickly, expect that you're going to be smacked down and pushed back and oppressed by someone or something. This is more of a slow moving energy, and you're going to want to take your time. You're going to want to do things the right way, and step by step. So there is that. So the one thing that kept coming up for me is that the only way out is through. And you have to use your due diligence with this. Like, that's the one thing that I can say with Sun square Saturn, because Sun is the faster moving of the planets. In this case, it's making the aspect to Saturn. So while your energy, your heart, your joy, you want to move forward with something, you're going to butt up against Saturn. And Saturn will push back. Saturn will make sure that all your I's are dotted, all of your T's are crossed, and you're doing things the right way, not the fast way. Now, also on this day, on the same day, we have Venus opposing Neptune. So when aspects come exact on the same day, there's a blending of energies that happens, and that's why I don't really want to go into each individual sign and talk about them individually. It's more of a blending, and it's kind of hard to blend, what, 4 days worth of aspects into each sign. That would make like a 4-hour video or more. So Venus will be opposing Neptune. So what this can mean is this is, I mean, it's a passing influence, right? Because Venus is only going to be, you know, it's approaching, it comes exact, and then it moves on, and it's only like maybe 2 or 3 days because she's direct and she's moving forward at her normal speed. Just be aware that with this Venus in opposition to Neptune, Venus is the planet of relationships, love, and money. Neptune, you know, at a high expression is spirituality, is, you know, the nether world, whatever you want to call it. At the lower octave, Neptune is very much deceptive, foggy, confused, all those kind of things that happen. So when Venus is opposing Neptune, this can mean that you yourself could be the subject of some type of deception, some type of manipulation, some type of, you know, people will try to pull the wool over your eyes, and chances are they'll succeed because Venus is very trusting, very loving. I mean, she is in Virgo, which she's a little more discerning in Virgo, but the opposition with Neptune does create that fogginess, does create that confusion, can be manipulations. And so it's just something to be aware of, that people maybe that you meet on this day, people that come onto your radar on this day may not be who they claim to be or who they seem to be. And so once this passes, this could, you know, the rose-colored glasses come off, the disillusionment happens, you realize that you've been taken for granted or that you've been made into a scapegoat. So I would say on this day specifically, on Sunday, the 18th, you know, don't let your imagination run wild. Don't let your fantasies run wild. You know, get more into that Virgoan energy of discernment and you know, I want to say judgment, so I'll say judgment, and use your discerning judgment. And, you know, don't be idealistic and, you know, put people on pedestals because, you know, they probably don't deserve to be there. On Monday, we have, on the 19th, we have several aspects. So we have Mars squaring Jupiter. We have Venus trine Jupiter, which is a bit of a mitigating aspect. And then but, you know, Venus is in opposition. But so Venus is in trine with Jupiter and Jupiter is in sextile with Neptune. So there's this grounding influence in terms of, with Venus opposing Neptune and with Mars squaring Jupiter. So there are mitigating factors. Mercury, however, does not have any mitigating factors. He's in opposition to Uranus, and they're both retrograde now. So there's definitely everything, reevaluation, re-editing, redoing, revising, revisiting. So, you know, the Mars square Jupiter aspect, though, this is the last time that Mars and Jupiter will square in the signs that they're in currently. So this is the last time that Mars will square Jupiter from Aries, and Jupiter in Capricorn. I was saying Jupiter and Saturn. Who says that? That's not a thing. So Jupiter in Capricorn. So the next time they square, they're going to be in Taurus and Aquarius. So it's going to be different energy, and it's going to definitely have a different flavor to it than the Aries and Capricorn energy. So Mars is also slowing down at this point. So I want to definitely bring that to light. So Mars is starting to slow down. He only has, by the time the 19th rolls around, he only has, I think, 3 more degrees. Where is he? He's at 19. To 4 more degrees. He's got 4 more degrees to go before he actually stops and goes direct again. So he's starting to slow down even more so. and we'll be hanging out around that, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17 degrees for a while. So Mars is becoming more intense. Now, Mars is our action. Mars is our desires. Mars is where we put our, what's the word I want to use? So recently I discovered hope, the word hope, and what we think of the word hope. Well, hope, if you actually read the definition of hope, it's desire, and I can't remember what the other descriptive word is, but really hope, the word hope reminds me of Mars because it's a desire for a specific outcome, right? So this is where we find our attachment in terms of where, our Mars is. This is what we're passionate about. This is where our desires lie, right? So there's that word hope that comes to mind, and that's just because I recently, got a little dictionary and decided that I wanted to look up the word hope. So anyway, that was because I was going down the line and looking up what despondence meant and, the loss of hope. So I wanted to make sure I understood despondence, and then so it led to other things, right? So one thing leads to another. And so Mars in square with Jupiter, Jupiter is where we want to expand. Jupiter is where we want to, and I'm sorry about that sidebar, by the way. Jupiter is where we want to get bigger. We want to do things bigger. We want to be bigger. We want to, expand on something. So Mars in square with Jupiter, especially because Mars is retrograde, maybe we're not going to have the energy to, the drive, the ambition, that hope, that desire to do what we want to do in terms of what Jupiter represents, which would be, education or learning, or, that higher perspective of everything that's going on around us. So this could see us kind of fizzling or, waffling a bit. I mean, it's a square, so it's a hard aspect, but this Mars is moving away from the planets in Capricorn, and this is the last one that it's going to square before it moves, not out of orb, because Jupiter's orb is rather large. But anyway, we'll move on. So Venus trine Jupiter. This is actually a really good aspect. So Venus in trine with Jupiter. This is like an inner resolve that's more grounded and practical in the time that we're in, the upheaval that we're in. And this can see people, raising the vibration of themselves and thus raising the vibration of the people around them, and showing practical optimism. This would be, especially because Venus is in Virgo and Jupiter is in Capricorn, this would be more of a practical, optimistic, taking the steps necessary to move to that higher viewpoint, right? And so, this could be adapting to how you relate to the problem at hand, right? So this, because Virgo is a mutable sign, it's changeable, you adapt and overcome. It's kind of like that, bob and weave kind of thing, right? Like when you're, in any type of martial arts or anything like that, or any type of, jousting, I don't even know what to call it, but like that whole, like, you're evaluating so you can, change it up a bit. That's, I don't know, I'm just going crazy today, I think. So anyway, this grounded energy, it can be adaptive to understanding, adapting your understanding to what is going on with that whole stellium in Capricorn. And because obviously, you know, the old cliche of how you relate to the problem is the problem. So Venus in an adaptable sign, a mutable sign like Virgo, this could be evaluating and problem solving in terms of getting a better understanding of that 10,000 foot view of what's going on in the larger world and adapting to it and overcoming what is going on. So if you change how you relate to something, or you come at the problem in a different way, you could solve the problem. And, you know, this could be adapting to your relationships to people, depending on the house that it's in, and seeing them grow over time. On the same day, again, we're still on the 19th, we have Mercury retrograde opposing Uranus retrograde. So the first time this happened was, the first time the opposition happened, Mercury was direct, and it was on the 7th of October. Now here on the 19th of October, Mercury's retrograde, Uranus is still retrograde. And so this can see us revisiting something that happened on the 7th of October, and what it is that we came to the realization about. And this could be another piece of information coming to light around the events that happened around the 7th of October. This could see us reevaluating, revisiting, right, what we realized, whatever, you know, insight you gleaned on that day or around that day. And this could see you reevaluating that information. So we've been mulling over it since then, but this second hit of Mercury in opposition to Uranus could see, you know, could see you coming to deeper understanding and deeper realization about the broader implication of the information that came to light on the 7th or around the 7th. And what realizations, it's evaluating what realizations you've come to and the implications of those realizations. And then, of course, over the coming weeks, you will assimilate and integrate that into your experience as a person and as a whole, and into your consciousness, and carry that forward once Mercury goes direct. But we'll get there. On the 21st, we do have Venus in trine to Pluto. I love this energy. I love this energy for multiple reasons. So Venus is coming into a very powerful trine. So when I say powerful trine, power is what you would associate with Pluto, right? And so this is an easier aspect in terms of aspects. It's a trine, it's a positive aspect, but you cannot discount the intensity that Pluto brings to any given aspect that it makes. So, I mean, this could see people, you know, being, you know, kind of coming out and being very romantic with their partners. I mean, if there is a time for sexy time with your partner, that is the day, the 21st. You know, desires, because Venus is love, right? And Pluto is, you know, the higher octave of Mars. So it's intense love. So desires could be heightened. There could be possessiveness, because Pluto, even in trine with Venus, there is a possessive quality about this. And, you know, while the trine is intense and powerful, it's hard to turn it off, right? So Venus in trine with Pluto, this is like 0 to 60, but you can't really hit the brakes, because it's intense. It's very intense. So once it's turned on, once someone is turned on, right, like it's hard to turn it back off. So it's one of those things where you kind of got to follow it through. And I want to be really careful when I say that. Like, if you are intensely driven to do something on this day, by all means, just make sure that you're not hurting someone and you're not running someone over in terms of what their needs and wants and desires are. Definitely, you know, be introspective with yourself. But this is a very, it's a very sexy aspect in, you know, in my opinion. I like Venus trine Pluto. But this is also your drive and your ambition, right? Because Venus is about love, Pluto is about ambition, but not in a ruthless way, right? Because it's a trine, it's an easier aspect. There is consideration of what others' needs and wants are, and this, so this could be an integral ambition, right? So a place of you're in a place of ambition, but it's, you're going to hold your integrity. You're not going to step on other people. You're not going to run other people over. You're going to make sure that you're taking into account your own integral moral compass, if that makes sense, if I'm explaining that correctly. So this, you know, this is a deep-seated sense of personal power. This is a very magnetic aspect as well. And like I said, I like Venus in trine with Pluto. It's a very sexy aspect as far as I'm concerned. So that's that for October 21st. And then on October 22nd, the very next day, the sun enters Scorpio. And I love the sun in Scorpio. So it's, Scorpio is very enigmatic, it's very secretive, it's very intense, right? So it's one of those where if you know a Scorpio in your life, especially a sun in Scorpio, you're either very drawn to them or you're very repelled by them, right? There's no middle ground. It's black or white with Scorpio. Like there's no, well, I kind of like this person. No, it's, yeah, I really like this person, or man, no, I don't like that person at all, right? It's that. So over the sun's, you know, course of stay here in Scorpio, you know, we could see people, because the sun is our energy and Scorpio is, you know, well, yes, the sun is our energy and Scorpio is, as a sign, it's a very secretive sign. So this could see people going kind of, you know, this time of year, it could see people going kind of X-Files, because this is, you know, this is when Halloween is, right? Like the sun enters Scorpio on the 22nd, Halloween is on the 31st. There's a lot of implications in terms of back in time, you know, if you go backwards several hundred years, you know, maybe a few thousand years, and what was celebrated at this time, this is the thinning of the veil. This is a time when, you know, the spooky things happen, right? Like people, there's this heightened awareness of other, right? At this time, if you understand what I mean when I say that. So, you know, this could see people shutting themselves in, going a little Batman, going a little X-Files, in their ways and what they're doing. Like maybe they show the world one face, but then when they go home, they, you know, they pull out the big chalkboard with all the papers and all the little red lines going everywhere of what's linked to what and what's doing what. It's very much that obsessive focused kind of energy. And, you know, this is like chronicling the depth and the breadth of everything that's going on, and breaking through the illusions, right? And the deceptions and the agendas and all that, and digging in and getting to the bottom, excuse me, of anything that doesn't seem correct. Because if there's even one little lie, that's like Scorpio just hones in on that and like, right? Like the claws come out and it's like, what are you doing? So take this time, you know, and get deep with yourself, especially too, because, you know, this plumb the depths of your soul kind of thing, and what you're willing to invest your time in, and what you're willing to get deep with, and what you're willing to, you know, what you're willing to get to the bottom of in terms of yourself as well. Because we still have, as the sun enters Scorpio, it's going to be, you know, the following week after the 22nd. I didn't look the exact day, but Mercury will be coming into a conjunction and gazini point with the sun. And that's a whole different thing, especially if they're both in Scorpio. This is, I mean, this is a very Mercury retrograde, gazini with the sun. Anyone that is born with this is practically a genius, right? Like they literally take things to the next level in terms of when Mercury is retrograde. And at the Cazimi point, though, like the Cazimi point is different than a conjunction with anything to do with the sun. A Cazimi point with the sun is a very interesting and, especially in Scorpio, intense aspect to have. So this the sun entering Scorpio, you know, this is also paying homage to those that have passed, right? Because Scorpio is about death. So paying homage to your ancestors, paying homage to your family line. And because it is maternal, I would say, you know, the maternal line of your family, you know, the mothers. And like I said before, you know, there's a reason that Halloween and All Souls Day, All Saints Day, the Day of the Dead, all that falls at this time of year. So that's next week. All of these aspects that I just talked about is next week. It's going to be intense, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, guys. It's definitely, we're not through it all yet, right? But we're definitely coming through it. And November should see us, you know, except for the beginning of November, towards the end of November, it should see us moving out of a lot of this really rough energy. And once we get into December and January and whatnot, things will definitely change because Jupiter and Saturn will be moving out of Capricorn, away from the conjunction with Pluto. And so the energy is going to shift and change. Lots of interesting things coming for sure. So just, you know, be cognizant of what you're doing, who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, you know, the energy that you're giving off. And, you know, be honest with people. That's the only thing that I can say with everyone right now on, like, just in the work that I'm doing and, you know, how I'm interacting with people. Just be honest with where you are. If you're, you know, if you're having a bad day, just be honest and be like, you know, today's kind of an off day. Like, just be honest. And that's key right now, being honest with where you're at, because people can only meet you where you're at, you know. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope everyone, you know, stay safe out there and just keep on keeping on, you know. All right, have a good week, everyone.